Surprise, speed, and violence of action are the hallmarks of a raid. When a raid hits, you'll have just minutes, maybe mere seconds to respond and mount a defense. So if you're caught unaware partying when that raid hits, it might just be checkmate for you. Now I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. Now if you have some means to defend yourself and you have some warning, say hearing gunshots off in the distance or the sound of your front gate being breached, then you might just be able to mount a defense, especially if you have your gear with you. So what we're going to cover today is a quick reaction deployment bag and how you can use it to arm yourself quickly, even if you're at your home or in some other location. Hi, I'm Brice and this is Intrepid Tactics. Today we're going to go over the quick reaction deployment bag and how I have this set up with my gear so that I could respond to a multitude of security threats. I developed the kit that I have in here through years of working overseas as a Green Beret and then also now as a trainer and a firearms instructor. The gear that you need for any particular situation is mission specific, and you usually like to choose a loadout for whatever situation you might find yourself in. Unfortunately, on a quick reaction type situation, you're not necessarily going to get to pick and choose all of your gear, go through your bins of pouches and set things up exactly the way that you'd want to. So you have to stage that stuff ahead of time. And that's exactly what I have in here is a number of different kit options that I've staged ahead of time so that I could basically grab this bag, throw on whatever gear that I need to, and respond to the situation at hand. Now, recent events have shown us that you may have only minutes to respond to a security threat, sometimes less. If it's seconds, you're going to have to deal with whatever you've got on you. If you've got a few minutes at least, if you hear that gunfire off in the distance like we started this video with, then you may have enough time to go into a bag like this, grab your kit, and then go neutralize whatever threats coming your way. Now this kit really consists of two bags. On top we've got a rifle case. This is from Bulldog Tactical. It's one that I picked up online a while back when it was on special. It's just a double rifle case. It has some exterior pouches, but for the most part I'm just using it for the two rifle slots in the interior there. It does have backpack straps, so I can throw this on my back. Makes it a little bit easier to carry. And then the second one is this 511 SOMS 3.0 rolling bag. This is where the majority of my kit goes, the majority of my gear here. So I do like having two separate bags like that, both due to space constraints and for transport. I like to be able to keep my rifle and my ammunition that's all in my kit bag separate from each other. If you're doing a military deployment, you're probably going to have to download your mags so that you don't have that on whatever aircraft you're on, be it a C-17, C-130 or otherwise. Usually, hazmat restrictions have that in a pallet, unless you're, flying into an active war zone, and then there's a little more leeway. All right, so jumping into the rifle case, I've got two rifles in this. We open this guy up, and the first rifle that I've got is an AR-15, 16-inch. This one I'm running an EOTech on a Unity riser. I do have an IR setup with a laser on it. This is a Purse 4 that I picked up a while back along with a Surefire X300V. So it does both white light and IR. Additionally, I've got Viking Tactics sling on it. The AR itself is a bit of a Franken gun. It has parts from a number of different manufacturers. It's a little over-gassed, but that's exactly what I like in a gun that I want to be reliable. This thing cycles every time. It wouldn't necessarily be your best competition gun or performance shooting gun, but it's a really good combat rifle in that regard. Or it's also a really good defensive rifle in our types of situations. So this kit is designed so that I could grab this rifle and then use it in conjunction with the rest of the gear that's inside that bag. So next up in this kit, I have an AR-10. So this is an AR-10 chambered in .308. It's a mostly aero precision gun. I have changed a couple of parts out here and there, but for the most part it's pretty close to what Aero Precision would send out stock. I did have to tune it up a little bit in order to get it to run right and cycle right, but now I'm pretty happy with the performance that I'm getting out of it. So it does have a Swamp Fox LPVO on there, 1-10, that's a second focal plane optic. At some point I'm probably gonna put a first focal plane optic on there. I was testing this for a while, and like I said, I like to use what I have been using and I have tested, and I've tested this pretty thoroughly at this point. Also, I have another Viking Tactics 2-point sling on here, adjustable sling. Other than that, it's a pretty bare rifle. I may put some other optics on here at some point, an IR system of some IR aiming system or a white light. Now, I like to have both an AR-10 and an AR-15 in my kit, and that gives me that option to use 5.56 or 308. That said, mission dependent or situation dependent, I may change out one or both of those rifles with another rifle or a different platform altogether. So in some situations, I may bring two 5.56 rifles. That gives me one common caliber. It gives me one type of ammunition that I'm going to use across both of those. All right, so that's the AR-15 and the AR-10. Next, we're going to get into the bag itself, the 511 SOMS 3.0 rolling bag. This is my quick reaction deployment bag in conjunction with the rifle case. So let's just dive into it. So opening this guy up, it's got a large center compartment. You can divide this up in a number of different ways depending on your kit and how you want to set it up. So I have divided this right along the middle. I have on this side mostly chest rigs and some upper body kit. I have my belt over here on the other side along with change of clothes and some other accessories in there, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Now, the first thing I want to point out in this kit is that I have a couple of loose magazines up here on the top. You'll notice that I have Glock magazine for my pistol. I have a AR-15 mag, it's just 5.56, along with a AR-10 mag for my 308. Now, I've got these loose on top of the bag so that I can quickly grab a loose mag and put it into my rifle if I need to put it into action. So after my rifle and magazines, the next thing that's coming out of my kit is going to be my belt. So I'm going to grab my belt kit. This is a G-code tactical belt. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do when I get this thing out is I'm going to go ahead and holster my pistol in it. So normally I have a everyday carry pistol on me. In this case, I've got my Glock 45. My Glock 19 also fits into here. So I'm going to transfer my Glock 45 into my belt, and then that is now secure, keeping that in a safe direction, of course. And then I'm going to take off my conceal holster, tighten this belt just a little bit, put my G-code belt on. So then that guy goes on. Now, going over the belt real quick, I've got two Glock magazines up here on the front. I've got two AR-15 magazines behind that. These Scorpion soft shell magazine carriers are expandable, so you can use them for different shapes and sizes of magazines. So I can also put AR-10 mags into the same belt if I needed to, which is one of the reasons I went with that system. So it would work with my AR-10. I would just have to put magazines of that size into this belt if I wanted to use that platform. Now, in addition to that, I do have a tomahawk on here. I find this to be a pretty useful tool in a number of situations, fighting, breaching, even for fieldcraft type situations. So I like to have a sharp implement of some sort on my kit, be that a knife or an axe. In this case, I've got a tomahawk on here. This is a Winkler Knives tomahawk. I go with a smaller tomahawk on my belt kit just because it gets snagged down a little bit less than if I go with a really full-size tactical tomahawk. That said, I do like bigger axes. It's just those usually go into a bag or some other sort of kit. So also on here, of course, I've got a Safariland holster where my Glock went into. I've got a Leatherman tool, tourniquet, and then some med supplies in the back there. I've got some gloves hanging off. These usually aren't my preferred shooting gloves. I'm going to use these more for work gloves, or if I'm doing a lot of shooting, I usually switch out for some lighter mechanics gloves that are a little bit easier to do weapons manipulating with. That said, these are pretty handy for doing work for handling hazardous things. So now that I've got my belt kit on, the next thing that I'm gonna go for out of this kit is gonna be something for my upper body, either a plate carrier or a chest rig. If it's a threat like we've seen recently with, a potential raiding party or a gunfight, the plate carrier is probably going to be my go-to. If it's something that's going to be a bit more long-term, patrolling in a rural area, something like that, I'm probably going to go with the chest rig. But I have both options in here. So going over the plate carrier first. Plate carrier is going to come out. This is an Esstac plate carrier. So it goes on pretty easy. All right, so this is an Esstac plate carrier. It's a pretty simple setup right now. I've got a tourniquet down below, 3 AR mags. I do have a radio pouch on my left here. Now I like to keep a pretty clean plate carrier. The 3 mags, the tourniquet, the radio. You could put more on your plate carrier. This is the setup that I like to go with in conjunction with the belt, and having a bit more on my belt and using this primarily as an armor platform. This also comes off pretty easily. All I have to do is pull the strap, breaks that side, and then I can go ahead and take it off. Okay, so after the plate carrier, it's going to be chest rigs. Now, I've got a couple different chest rig options in here. First up is this Umbris Designs Mac V. Umbris Designs is a pretty awesome company. They are also run by a former Green Beret. The guy makes great kit. So this chest rig, I've been running in rifle courses recently and I'm really happy with it. I have this set up pretty high and tight. It's got just 3 AR mags, kind of like the plate carrier kit that we just went over. This is a minimal setup. I have pouches that I can mix and match on this thing. So right now this is set up just with some accessory pouches and the tourniquet down there. But they also make a number of different accessories for it. I've got a med kit pouch that can go down below, a radio pouch, and depending on the situation, I may set this chest rig up for one of those types of scenarios. Now the reason that you want a chest rig instead of a belt kit when you're running a rucksack is that hip pad or that hip belt is not going to fit very well with your gun belt, right? So a chest rig is preferable even on its own oftentimes to having a large gun belt on you. All right, so that's the Umbris Designs chest rig. And the next step, we're going to go into these other chest rig that I have as a part of this kit. So this is the Haley Strategic DC3R. Now this chest rig is intended for use with my AR-10 platform. It can be used with other platforms too. It accepts larger magazines than some of the other magazine holders that I have. So in here I have 4 AR-10 mags. That gives me at 25 rounds a piece, 100 rounds there, along with 2 pistol mags, 2 Glock 17 rounders. And then I've got a med kit on the bottom, tourniquet below that, a couple admin pouches for land nav gear, that sort of thing. So yeah, I do have a radio pouch on here. That's from Apparel Concepts. So that's the Haley Strategic DC3R Heavy. So I do have one more chest rig in here, and it's a little bit different than the rifle-focused chest rigs that we just covered. So this is a Hill People Gear chest rig. So as you can see, it's got a radio on the front, and then if we go inside of here, it does have a pouch back here where you could, if you needed to, put a pistol, right? We've got a couple chem lights in there from some recent exercises. And then in addition to that, in the front here, I have a whole land navigation kit, right? So this guy opens up and I've got compass on there. I've got old Garmin GPS, headlamp, map markers, a whole kit basically for land navigation, as well as a map and protractor and all that. So this is not really a defensive focused platform. This is more for working in the backcountry, in the mountains, for search and rescue type work, or just for exploration. This is really useful in conjunction with the backpack. You can drop that ruck if you need to and move out on this and keep a lot of the things that you might need very easily accessible to you in the front here. So that's the Hill People Gear kit bag. All right, so going through a few other things that we have in the bag. So this was for my conceal piece earlier. I do keep both a set of Peltors in there for both hearing protection and for use with a radio kit. So eye pro and ear pro, I do like to have on me pretty much all the time. And like I said, I do train out of this bag a good deal as well. So I do also have this night vision setup in there. I've got a Cry Precision skull cap along with a Steel Industries PVS 14. So this is a white phosphorus. Really happy with this tube. Really happy with the performance that I've been getting out of it. It's better than what the green phosphorus, pretty beat up tubes that I originally learned on and trained on. So I've been very happy with this so far. This gives me a night vision capability that is really a game changer. So you don't necessarily have to have the highest tier when it comes to night vision, when it comes to IR lasers and flashlights and all that, but being in the game is much different than not being in the game. It's a complete game changer when it comes to fighting at night. So I consider this to be a must personally, and that's why I've got this in my quick deployment bag. Now after that, I also have a change of clothes. So pretty standard pants, shirt, got a jacket in here. And then along with that change of clothes, I have a pair of boots. And of course, this is so that even if I have to grab this bag and stage out of some other location, if I wasn't wearing clothing that was appropriate to doing this sort of work, I could throw that on real quick along with the rest of my kit and be ready for the situation that I find myself in. I also keep an extra med kit in there. I have a separate bag that's also for medical, that's usually coming with me, that's in my vehicle. Or if it's not, it's getting packed alongside this. So that covers the main compartment. All right, so going through what I have in the rest of this bag. So we'll go from the back forward. And in the back, I have a few different optics options. So I have some hand-me-down binoculars, but they do work pretty well, some 8x30s, fairly clear glass. I have a spotting scope on there as well. This bag has a couple different lighting and night options. So, extra white light. I've got IR chem light, a couple other options for working after dark. And then in addition to those, I have a laser rangefinder, right? So this is a Halo XLR 3000, which has worked fairly well for me to this point. It's a really simple laser rangefinder, but it does the job. And then in addition to those items, I have a battery pack because you never know when your batteries are going to go out. And in some ways, this is more of a sustainment item, but I want to make sure that I have it with me because the last thing I want is my optics to be down. Also in the kit is some cleaning supplies. So this could go in the rifle bag, but I do have it in the main kit at the moment. And then last but not least is a collection of chem lights. So these are very useful for a number of different situations, marking, signaling. I like to have those on me so that I could use them for a multitude of different scenarios. All right, so packing that back up. All right, and then moving to the front of the bag. Here I have some extra pouches, some extra gear. So I have a couple different holster options. These are for my Glock pistols, and depending on the situation I find myself in, I may use a different holster than my concealed holster. So this is a little bit more low profile than having my full kit on, but allows for quicker access than that concealed carry. In addition, I have a couple of interior belts. So my belt kit has so these interior belts would go through my belt loops and provide for a little bit better contact than the belt on its own right now. Even though this does work and it has a secondary inner belt right now, these belts are a little bit better suited and are going to give a better, closer contact when I'm running. So I really like this 10-1/4 inner belt. It's worked really well for me, and it is stiff enough that I can use it with my concealed pistol if I need to. And then I have last but not least, I have a number of additional pouches in this bag that I can use to change out the configuration of those chest rigs or of my belt kit or of any of the other MOLLE gear that I have there. So that allows me to grab this bag, stage out of a location, and then if I needed to, I could tweak my kit a little bit before I go. Now, I do like to train with my kit however I've set it up before I go out and do something. But let's say that I needed to move a radio onto my belt kit or onto my one of the chest rigs that I don't have one on. These pouches are for that sort of thing, or for plussing up magazines or admin pouches or something along those lines. All right, so putting those back. Now moving into the last pouch that I've got on the front there. This one has with it a water bottle, a couple of bars, right? So that's more for the scenario where I had to stage out of the location for a little bit and needed that little extra energy to get me through whatever situation I might be in. You know, high adrenaline scenarios, you do burn some calories, and it is good to have at least some food on you. You don't know if you're caught off guard or if you're caught in an unexpected situation when your next meal is going to be, or you may find yourself having skipped a meal already or not eaten. So, having some water and bars on there is really helpful. In addition to the water bottle and the bars, I got a number of blades that I can throw onto that kit. So first up, I've got this Bowie knife from Naylor Forge. Got this from Ashton Naylor himself. This thing is awesome. I visited his forge a while back and really happy with this blade. So this has enough weight to it that it could be a pretty good fighting knife in conjunction with that tomahawk. All right, I also have this cold steel blade that I've been deploying with for years now. I think this thing's been with me for 15 years. Even though it's not a super high-end blade, it is useful. I like having some less costly blades that I can be a little bit more abusive towards. This thing has been on a number of different kits and a number of different missions with me, so it's still in this deployment bag now. This is a recent addition, also cold steel blade. Probably going to go onto that plate carrier. Recently got this as a gift from a friend. Really happy with that. So these blades, even though they're not super high-end expensive blades, they do the trick, right? That is going to cut, slice, stab. And then I also have this small carry blade. This is Winkler Knives. One of their smaller options, right? But really nice quality, really nice blade. I am probably going to put a different clip on this, so that a utility clip, so that it slits a little bit lower. But this is a carry knife, a carry option that way. And smaller knives like this, even though you may think, hey, those larger knives are the cooler, bigger knives. These smaller blades are really useful, especially when it comes to knife fighting in conjunction with gunfighting. All right, moving on, I also have an extra sling. Now, even though my rifles have slings on them, a pretty common problem is that somebody's rifle doesn't have a sling on it. I also just like to have some redundant gear in there, so I have an additional sling that I could use to either swap out on one of my rifles or to help a friend out. All right, so that's it for that pouch, and as I go through this, I realized that I did leave out one item from the main compartment that was a little concealed from my vantage point. So putting those guys back in. So I did leave one item from the main compartment out that was concealed just due to its location, and that is a larger tomahawk from, once again, Winkler Knives. So this is a full-sized Esstac Kali tomahawk, which definitely has fighting application, but it has also bushcraft and fieldcraft application too, just not in the traditional chopping sense that you might be used to, but you can use that spike and that groove there for a number of different applications, in addition to obviously the combative focus of it. Tomahawks are great for breaching as well as for making holes that you can look out of or shoot out of. A whole host of activities that Tomahawks are super useful for. So this one isn't on any kit right now. Like I said, I have the smaller Tomahawk on my belt kit, but this may get staged with me depending on the situation, depending on the mission that I'm faced with. So this bag does give you a lot of options in terms of the gear that's in it and what you can do with that. So it's not just for a personal loadout in the way that I look at it, at least. I have the option there to equip myself for a number of different types of scenarios and situations. But let's say that we were in a community defense sort of a situation, like the Israeli kibbutzes that were raided by Hamas recently, and not just that, border town areas, any conflict zone where you're getting hit unexpectedly by an assailant or an opponent. Let's say that I've got some friends over, maybe some guys that I've trained with or trained up a little bit. Well, I could take this bag, I can piece it out, and I could equip myself and at least one or possibly two other guys along with me. There are some additional considerations when building your quick reaction deployment bag. So first off, make sure that you're doing your own threat assessment and that you're building a kit or a bag that fits the situation that you're in and your needs. Just because you saw a video online, whether it's me recommending things or someone else, doesn't mean that you have to build a kit out that's exactly matching that. Once again, thanks for watching Intrepid Tactics. We are a small but growing channel, so make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel. That's really going to help us out a lot, especially at this growth period for us. Comment in the comment section. Let me know what you want to see next. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like about this setup, about this video. Make sure to share this with your friends. And get out there, train, equip yourself, educate yourself. We are in some tumultuous times, but also make sure that you live a little bit while you're doing it. Spend some time with your family. Spend some time with your friends. Go to church on Sunday. Make sure that you're involved in your community. Open up God's Word. Read the Bible. There are security threats out there. Yes, we do need to address the world as it's changing, but also live life a little bit and go enjoy your time with your loved ones. Thanks for watching.